A glimpse into the past, the sawmill town of Crossett, Arkansas in 1911. In the heart of Ashley County, Arkansas, lies the town of Crossett, a place rich in history and community spirit. This essay draws upon information collected in 1948 from the older generation who worked in the sawmill, as documented in the book Crossett Sawmill Interviews, published by the Ashley County Genealogical Society in 1995. Early 20th century Crossett. In 1911, Crossett was a bustling sawmill town under the leadership of Mayor Mr. Dodley, who served for several years before being succeeded by Ed Lawson. The town's safety was ensured by Mr. Honeycutt, the day marshal, and Norwood Blackwell, the night marshal. One notable incident involved Marshal Honeycutt confiscating 50 quarts of moonshine whiskey from a group of individuals. The discarded whiskey found its way into a nearby ditch, leading to an amusing scene of people drinking from the ditch. Economic backbone. The sawmill. The sawmill, the town's economic backbone, was a well-oiled machine with key figures at its helm. Frank Cannon served as the bookkeeper, while Angus Irwin oversaw operations as the sawmill superintendent. The planing mills were managed by Mr. Lessor and Mr. Lulay, with Rad Corson as the dry chain foreman, Clark Bushner as the yard foreman, and Cap Gates as the general manager. Life in Crossett. Life in Crossett was not all work. The mill would sometimes shut down for a circus, and the only official days off were Sundays, Christmas, 4th of July, and June 19th. Travel was facilitated by good train service in most directions, except for El Dorado. To reach El Dorado, one had to either take a roundabout train route or hire a livery rig. The livery stable was operated by Finus and Arthur McKinner, and Mr. Miles, a veterinarian, had his office in the stable. These details paint a vivid picture of a close-knit community that worked together, celebrated together, and faced challenges together. Maurice Saline Landing and the Washita River. The old Maurice Saline Landing on the Washita River, back in the early 20th century, was a real busy place with a big old warehouse and unloading dock, sitting near where the bridge is now. The Washita River was a lifeline for the folks living along her banks, navigable all the way from New Orleans to Camden, Arkansas. She was a vital conduit for trade and transport, connecting the heartland of America to the bustling port city of New Orleans. In 1905, a local feller named Dave Pearson took his daughters, Cynthia, Alice, Patty, and Frances, on a journey to the Maurice Saline Landing. They witnessed the landing of a boat called the Howard, under the command of Captain Cryer. During this visit, old Dave bought a stock of bananas for his daughters, capturing the joy and wonder of their riverfront adventure. The Rumsauer family, a legacy in Crossett. The Rumsauer family holds a significant place in the history of Crossett, Arkansas, with roots tracing back to the mid-19th century. Their story is one of resilience, ambition, and a deep connection to the land they called home. In about 1860, the Hawkins family, ancestors of the Rumsauers, built a large home southwest of Crossett. This home was a testament to their determination and resourcefulness, with bricks laid by masons from New Orleans and lumber hauled by boat from New Orleans to Maurice Saline Landing and then transported by oxen to the Hawkins place. One of the Hawkins daughters, Dora, married Clark Rumsauer, and together they had 12 children, including Pearl Rumsauer. Miss Pearl, as she was known, never married and continued to reside in the old Hawkins and Rumsauer home, which had fallen into disrepair over the years. Despite the condition of the house, Miss Pearl's presence kept the family's legacy alive. Miss Pearl Rumsauer was a remarkable woman with a strong mind and a well-read intellect. She once partnered with Cap Gates in the cattle business, which gave her a substantial start in raising Black Angus cattle. Her business acumen and dedication to the cattle industry were well respected in the community. Logging operations and community life, 1915 to 1923. In 1915, Crossett experienced a unique event in its logging history. Following a storm, it was necessary to salvage 7 or 8 million feet of timber from the 9th Ward in Louisiana. With permission from the railroad, the logs were logged out to Bayou Bartholomew and floated to Wardville, Louisiana. The operation, managed by Mr. Wilcoxon and Cap Gates, faced challenges, but ultimately succeeded. Mr. Lummy Johnson arrived in Crossett in 1915, taking over as the tram foreman. The sawmill plant evolved over the years, introducing Model T jitneys in 1922 to 1923 and electrifying the sawmill in place of steam-powered engines. Life in Crossett included both progress and hardships, painting a picture of a town that was continuously growing and adapting. The Dooley family's contributions. The Dooley family played a significant role in Crossett's early development. Marshall P. Dooley, Sr., originally from Texas, moved to Arkansas with his wife, Margaret, and settled in Crossett in 1902. The family's journey and contributions highlight the resilience and determination of the early settlers who helped shape the town's history. The circus incident. Shortly after 1900, a traveling circus came to Crossett. The circus either went broke or disbanded in the town, and Mr. E.W. Cap Gates bought some of the animals. The ride from the circus was set up outside the post office for the amusement of Crossett residents, turning an unexpected event into a source of joy and wonder for the community. The development of Crossett, Arkansas, 1904 to 1935. W. L. Woods and the Crossett community. Mr. and Mrs. John Woods settled in the Luella community in Drew County, Arkansas, with their children. W. L. Woods came to Crossett in 1904, working for the Crossett Lumber Company in the No. 2 Sawmill. He was a dedicated worker and also a member of the Clark Buchner baseball team. The Woods family moved into their new home in 1912 and later relocated to a farm northwest of the city limits in 1921. Contributions of E.S., Crossett, and the Oglen family. The Crossett family, known for their religious values, contributed significantly to the town, including the establishment of the first YMCA clubhouse. In 1904, Mr. and Mrs. E.M. Oglen moved to Crossett from Monroe, Louisiana. Edgar Oglen operated the stationary steam engine at No. 1 Planer Mill before becoming the town plumber. Their neighbors included Mr. and Mrs. Sam Boyer and Mr. and Mrs. James Wilkins. Grace Stanley's journey and the logging camps. Miss Grace Stanley, affected by childhood polio, moved to Crossett in 1906 after seeking medical treatment in St. Louis. Harry Toney, who joined the logging camps at a young age, described the rugged life and challenges of working in portable camps. The camps evolved over the years, improving living conditions and fostering a strong sense of community among workers. Accidents and challenges in the sawmill industry. Serious accidents in 1912. In the old fuel house of Crossett Lumber Company, several serious accidents took place. Mr. Jim Moffett, a brother of Will Moffett, became overheated, fell, and burned to death. Serious accidents in 1920. Richard Arrington, a boilermaker and the son of Dr. Arrington, was electrocuted inside a boiler with an electrical extension cord. This was one of the first tragedies connected with the sawmill operations. Bad accident in 1924. One of the worst accidents happened at a camp in 1924 when gasoline was used by the blacksmith instead of coal oil. The result was a railroad caboose explosion, killing 5 men. Serious accidents in 1930. A cleanup boy in No. 2 Sawmill was crushed to death in the reduction gears of a conveyor chain. By the time the accident was discovered, sawdust had piled up, covering the body. Serious accidents in 1938. Mr. Cechia, the night operator in the still house of Crossett Chemical Company, was sprayed with hot oil, causing fatal injuries. He lived only a few hours following the accident. Humorous incidents and community spirit. Humorous incidents in 1913. A fire occurred in the original building of the Rose Inn, partially destroying it. Rebuilding efforts quickly resumed using the original blueprints. Mr. P.F. Watzek recounted a night porter mistakenly alarming guests about a fire that was actually in a different building. The logging days in Crossett, Arkansas. The early logging days were marked by the use of pine knots and later coal to generate steam for locomotives. These fuels posed significant fire hazards. The transition to oil promised a safer and more efficient fuel source, reflecting ongoing efforts to improve safety and efficiency in the logging industry.